Have you fallen down the cottage industry rabbit hole yet? Well, if not, buckle up, Alice, and click on over to the description in the show notes and sign up. Then you can get ready for the most fun induction into the cult of all things yarn and fiber. This will include, but not limited to, free yarn, free ebooks, patterns, coupons, and much more. You don't want to miss out.
You are listening to Crime, Coffee, and Crafts, a podcast featuring two crafty besties who love true crime and a good cup of joe.
Hey, amateur sleuths. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Heidi.
Welcome back. We're happy to be back to recording.
Merry ho, ho, ho. It is Christmas Day.
It is actually Christmas Day for those that celebrate Christmas. Merry Christmas. And watching, to all of those that don't and you celebrate your own thing, happy holidays.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
It's been a tough one.
Yeah.
And I'll let Heidi talk about that.
So, there they go. Hold the phone. So last Wednesday, for some weird reason, I decided to keep Dwight home from daycare.
Yeah, usually he's at his senior place on Wednesdays.
Yes. And just there was so much going on and I was like, I'm just going to keep him home.
Yeah.
And a few hours, I don't even know what fucking time it was. I
was homesick and you called me like 1:00.
Yeah, so it must have been like noon-ish, maybe.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, his girlfriend called my phone and I just had a weird feeling. So I texted her because I was in the middle of teaching a class. And I was like, hey, I'm in the middle of class. What's up? She texted me back that he passed away.
Right.
And it was just like, what the fuck? Now, I called her, I got out of my class and was just like, sorry, gotta go. Called her, and so Jay had epilepsy his whole life. He was diagnosed as a very little guy, and he had multiple types of seizures.
Yeah.
Not just like one or the other. He had the worst.
He had a very traumatic health.
Yes. And we knew that this would happen someday. We just thought that it would be a long time.
We were hoping that it would be a long time. We wanted more time with Jay.
Yes.
And
as much of a pain in the ass as he was, we still loved him.
He definitely was. But
he lived life to the fullest because his life sucked.
He was always smiling.
Always. He made the most out of everything. And
now we can hold on to the good memories and
exactly.
And what were we talking about before we started recording? You said that it's brought the family back and closer
and friends back together and it brought us closer with his girlfriend, which we weren't close with her.
Yeah.
We barely knew her.
Right.
And she's stuck with us whether she likes it or not now because we're all going through this together. And anyway, so Kristen, being awesome as she is taking my next two recording spots because it would be a two-parter. And it's going to be a two-parter. Sorry, not sorry. Because I couldn't get my brain straight.
Yeah. And that's okay. Because luckily I got my act together and I had some stuff done
a week from hell and
Yeah.
sickness, and
Mhm.
thankfully you were able to pull it off. So we don't have to be
We're
like,
still here,
sorry,
guys.
we're not doing an episode this week. 'cause
No,
I
we're
refuse
not.
to do that.
We refuse. It's Christmas and we are recording. Okay.
You're damn
Got
straight.
this. We love what we do with this podcast, and that is why we're here.
Fucking A.
Plus, I really needed to see my best friend today.
Also, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been missing Heidi terribly.
Yes, but
I
we
know
also
it's
had to,
I know it's the
we
same.
had to wait for your voice to get normal-ish.
Yeah, it's a little I
can barely-
apologize.
you can
It
barely
is a
tell.
little nasally,
Barely.
but
You're
we're
good.
working through it. I had to actually call out of work for 3 days because I was so like coughing and everything. It was so bad. I'm so
Gross.
bad.
Gross. Yeah. Ben had it. It was not fun.
Yeah, and it was like it was really hard just to push through and continue because I'm gonna tell you right now, this is Christmas and I have a lot of things to accomplish.
A lot of paintings.
I'm still
y'all.
down. I'm still
Wait, how many
right
paintings
there.
have you done? Just for
So
Christmas?
I was gonna talk about in my art section.
Yes.
Since December 3rd, I have completed. I'm still working on one. I'm halfway through this one, so it's going to be a total of 20 paintings.
Holy fuck.
20.
Wow, Kristen. Talk about badass.
I was like, oh my gosh, my to-do list is growing. I've got to do this and this. And so I'm so thrilled with how everything is turning out.
Great to you guys see all of this.
Excited. I'm only going to share a couple. Heidi and Ben are getting a present, and she can share that later on, but I'm not going to. There's some stuff. I'm not going to tell her.
Yeah, don't tell me.
Anyways, so I have 3 daughters. So I kind of, well, first off, the one that I'm actually sharing for artwork for this episode, while I drink Bones coffee eggnog flavored because it's Christmas in my Christmas S plaid mug.
Nice.
www.bonescoffee.com.
Check them out.
Not an ad.
No.
We are not affiliated, but we love Bones Coffee.
Yes.
So a round
thing.
Mm-hmm. So halfway through all of my paintings, because Heidi sends me canvases all the time. If you guys don't know this, she is.
Sometimes they go on sale.
My enabler.
And I think
she's my drug pusher.
Buy them all.
She just sends me things so that I will do work. But it's not work because I love doing it, even though halfway through I'm like, oh, this sucks. And then at the final end, I'm like, oh, I love this. So this one is for my parents.
And by the time this comes out, they
will
have received it.
Yes. They're going to get it tomorrow.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for those of you who know and don't know, I grew up on a sailboat.
You should know that by now.
Oh, are you ready?
Ready.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my goodness gracious, girlfriend. I love that it's like a porthole.
Yeah.
It's round and it's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
I had fun doing that one.
That's perfect. They're gonna love that.
Thank you.
They're absolutely gonna love that.
And then one of my children's, the baby, she loves elephants. And then my middle one loves foxes. And my oldest one loves Hello Kitty.
I mean, Hello Kitty rocks.
Yeah. So they're all done on hearts.
Oh my gosh, that is freaking adorable.
So this one's Hello Kitty and My Melody, which is the little bunny rabbit.
Cute. Also, where the heck do you find heart canvases? How cute.
Hobby Lobby.
Seriously?
Yeah, and you can find them online. You just Google like odd shaped canvases and you can come up with all kinds. I
Nice.
found hexagons, round, and hearts. Now I used to be just boring and do rectangles
I mean,
and
who would have
squares.
known?
And now my whole world has just opened up.
Yes.
Who would have thought I could have painted all of these in 3 weeks?
I mean, this girl right here.
No, nobody. But I will say I have medicine again. So
I was going to say medication helps.
And I had drive. I needed to do these things.
Put us under pressure and shit gets done.
Yes. So my middle one, is Foxes.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my goodness, that is so freaking cute.
So it's a baby fox and a mommy fox, and I wrapped it. Look at the tree.
I love it.
Thank you. And then my little one loves them Ellies. She sleeps with an Ellie.
Oh, Ellie. Desmond had an Ellie when he was a baby. Oh, so cute. So cute. I love the tree.
That's my Serengeti desert tree.
Look at the sky, the colors. Ooh.
Yeah.
Love
look
it.
At the moon.
I love it.
But I had a lot of fun doing these, and I have so many more people. I couldn't just bring out all. Some of them have already gone to their recipients.
Yeah.
I had a couple of Secret Santa gifts at my work, and then my mom with the middle school, her PTA, they did like a raffle and raffled off one of my pieces.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, and I did one for David for our anniversary, which we had a year. Woo woo.
So that's where her sweatshirt came from.
Yes,
which
this was my anniversary.
Funny because I saw the order come in, y'all, and I was like, "Quick, delete it from the email." So Kristen
deleted that.
I saw his name and I was like, "Uh-oh."
She was good, guys, because I had no idea. And I've been wanting this since we went with the new merch site. So
she's been begging for it. So, before we get to your case, I have a missing person.
Perfect. Let's do the underrepresented folk.
Yes. This week we have a female, American Indian, Alaska Native. They put that under one section on NamUs.gov.
Oh, that's good.
Janie Ann Knoll or Janie. It could also be Noel as the last name. Not totally sure. There's no ... over the E, so I'm assuming it's Knoll. She went missing like a year ago. She was 32. Her nickname or other name is Janie White Antelope. 5'7" to 5'8", 130 to 140 pounds. Unknown tribe enrollment. Date of last contact was November 1st, 2021. Last known location, Tacoma, Washington. Janie was last known to be in the Tacoma, Washington area. Black hair, brown eyes. That is literally all of the information that is available. We do have a picture, thankfully, so I'm going to post that on socials.
Okay.
And so
good.
Hopefully somebody knows where she's at. Hopefully she's okay. But knowing MMIW issues, It's highly
just
unlikely.
Yeah. But it would be really nice if someone could come forward with any tips or knowledge
Any information. Any information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking for that 411.
Yes. And her name is spelled, her first name is Jani. That's why I was like, Janie. Who knows? We don't know. But yeah.
Maybe a photo will.
Yes. It might trigger someone.
Trigger somebody.
Yeah.
Speaking of trigger warnings.
Oh, look at that. How did the hell did we
segue?
Every time we say the word segue, I think of, and that's why we drink. And that's why we drink. They call it Sigoo.
Oh.
It's so funny.
Oh. I'm just gonna put it out there that like absolutely all of them are probably in this, except for like crimes against women.
Oh.
So there's no like sexual abuse or anything like that, but like pretty much every other trigger warning.
I'm crocheting, by the way. Don't worry.
Good. I'm glad.
This is how I've been keeping my brain okay.
Yeah. And I think maybe I did that through all the paintings, although I think I drive myself crazy with it sometimes.
Well, yeah.
But yeah.
It's okay. It's what we do.
So, you crochet your little hands off. Not literally.
Not literally, but yes.
Okay. So this one was a really hard one. Just because there's so much to it and there's so much that can't really be corroborated.
Oh man.
So we're going into claims and mostly information from the man.
Okay.
And by the man, I mean the Iceman.
Very famous.
Yes, it is. And I don't typically try and do them.
Yeah, but
this
like
one
it's
was
such an intense one.
Right. And this one was a recommended one from the boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. And we did I watched a lot of the taped interviews that were posted that he did from years ago. And then, yeah, watching those was the way he just talks there's a lot behind that man.
Yeah.
And a lot of, he's just a sociopath. Anyways, so I'll get into more of it, but this was a recommended case, so I'm doing a more popular known person. Don't come at me sideways, folks. I just hope that you enjoy the story.
I haven't heard
telling it.
I haven't heard any of my go-to podcasts. I haven't heard any of them cover this specific case. So this is, while it is very well known, as like who he is very well known, I don't think it's like a much covered case.
Right. Okay, good. Then we're kind of, in that gray
sticking
area.
With our
sticking with the underrepresented cases.
Yeah. And it could be because there's not a lot of corroboration. So
right. But I read articles from Alcatraz East, Criminal Minds, the Crime Museum, and Britannica. Nice. I also watched the documentaries, and we watched the Iceman from 2012, which is it's a fictional movie, but based on true instances or whatever. Based on true facts.
Very good-ish movie, by the way.
It is very good.
Fucking
very
scary.
Good. Yes. So, where we are going with this is Richard Leonard Kuklinski.
Hell of a name.
pretty sure I pronounced it proper.
Sounds like
hopefully. He was born April 11th, 1935.
Okay.
Born to a man named Stanley. His real name was Stanislaw, but he went by Stanley, and his mom, Anna.
Okay.
And he was actually a home birth, which a lot of births back then were home births. Like, they didn't I don't know, not a lot of hospital goings on unless there was like an emergency.
Things were just different.
It was 1935. I mean, before World War II and all that jazz. During, I don't remember. I remember when it ended. I don't remember when it started.
Well,
but it was after Prohibition.
Yeah.
And they lived in Jersey City, New Jersey. Richard was the second born of 4 children to this couple. And in interviews, Richard said his father was very violent. He was an alcoholic, and he beat his children and sometimes his wife, Anna. His mother was also abusive and would beat Richard with broom handles. And sometimes, sometimes they would break while she beat him.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's gnarly.
It is very gnar. I knew that his father was an abusive alcoholic, but I didn't know his mom was so abusive until I started doing all this.
Yeah.
And apparently Richard said that his mom would use other household objects as well, but usually just the broom handle. So, since his father was an alcoholic, he would often leave the family. Like, he'd go on benders and just disappear, and then he'd come back drunk and beat his kids. Richard claims that he was beaten daily. So clearly Richard came from a very loving home.
Oh, yeah. There's
obviously.
a lot of, not memories of my family, but memories of a friend's family. Coming up. Good God. That's fucking ugh.
Yeah. It's pretty rough. I mean, I don't feel bad for the guy, but I feel bad for the child.
Yes. Well, and who's to say it could have created him?
So while Richard was a preteen, like 10, 11, 12, or somewhere in there, he recalls an incident where his mother actually attempted to kill his father with a kitchen knife. So that was another thing. The parents were volatile towards each other and showed violence on the regular. To cope with his abuse, he would take his anger and frustration out on animals. Mostly he'd mutilate and kill dogs and cats. So that's one of the serial killer signs. Killing animals. Taking things out on the weak, the innocent. It's also said that his mother was a strict Catholic.
Okay.
And believed that harsh discipline should be.
Hold, please. Kristen is coughing. Fear not.
I'm really good at that mute button now.
Hell yeah.
I haven't talked this much in a long time.
Yeah.
So I apologize. It's gonna cause me to have a few. But anyways, we will move forward.
Let's do it.
So mother was a strict Catholic, believed that discipline was a big part of the childhood, along with strict religious upbringing. This is how she was raised, so that is how she believed her children should be raised.
Okay.
Richard did grow up Roman Catholic and went to a church. He later became an altar boy, but in his adult life rejected Catholicism altogether.
I would have too, if that's what it was associated with.
Right. And he is quoted in saying that his mother was a cancer who destroyed everything she touched. And believed that was mostly due to her religious upbringing.
Right.
So through this, it's sad. Richard and his siblings, they lived a very horrific, abusive childhood. And his oldest brother, because I said he was the second born of four, but his oldest brother, Florian, was actually beaten to death in 1940 by his father.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, and his father made the entire family all claim that it was an accident and he fell down the stairs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Richard was only 5 years old when his brother was murdered by his father.
Holy shit.
And they were all, there. It was one of the alcoholic abusive moments.
Yeah.
So with that, and coupled with how he dealt with his feelings of, torturing animals, he also fantasized about killing his father.
I mean, I could see why.
Yeah, I can see why too. But instead of killing his father, when he was 13 or 14, he is said to have murdered the leader of a teenage gang in the neighborhood, and the child's name was Charlie Chase. He was murdered by being beaten to death.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard somehow, at this age, knew to remove his teeth and cut off his fingertips to prevent identification, and then threw him off the bridge. Yeet!
Wow.
Yeeted him right off the bridge, as my kids would say.
That's like the term that is used these days.
To throw something.
It makes me fucking hysterical. Like, I love it.
You should see my kids at the house, like, talking about it. There's that SNL skit. Skate, you're... You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Anyways, they're doing a white rap, and
oh gosh,
they go back and forth saying skirt, yeet. So yeah, it is also said that after he murdered this Charlie Chase, he attacked the 6 other gang members, almost killing all of them as well. I don't know what size he was at this time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how he could actually do that all by himself.
You get angry enough and have enough adrenaline.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Richard says that it was at this point that he learned it was better to give than to receive. It was better to give the punishment than to receive the punishment. So from that day on, he no longer wanted to be the receiver of abuse. He wanted to give the abuse.
Okay. Father like son.
Mm-hmm. So it was at this time he dropped out of school and he was only in the 8th grade. That's all that's known about his education.
Yeah.
Crazo. So, what does an uneducated person do to make money? Usually, they become a lifelong criminal.
It could, yeah.
Yeah. He rarely had any actual job, but his activities earned him enough money to live a pretty comfortable lifestyle. So he was a murderer who also sold stolen pirated porn. Yeah. He carried out robberies and had his very own burglary gang.
All right.
Yep. Through his dealings in porn, he became connected with organized crime, also known as the mafia, mafioso.
Mm-hmm.
And since he was in Jersey, it kind of makes sense that he would be picked up to do things for them.
One of the mafia meccas.
Yeah, and eventually several crime families hired him. It's said that he was a killer for hire and worked for the Genovese, Gambino, and De Cavalcante families.
All right.
So
must have been good at what he did.
I think so. So to better understand what a mafia or organized crime is, I'm going to do a little history.
All right, bring it on.
You ready?
You know I'm a mafia lover. It's weird.
I know.
You freaking
love all
it.
that organized crime, and I think it's because of the eras where it was mostly.
You can also blame my brother for that.
Famous, like, you know, Goodfellas, and
it was something that Johnny and I like
bonded
over. I know it's weird.
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, I was like his second in command. So,
right.
Yeah.
So, what I learned, I mean, I kind of, knew, but this is very interesting. So, the mafia is a structured society of criminals, primarily Sicilian or Italian born. The mafia applies to the traditional criminal organization, which was brought over to the US. But during the late Middle Ages is when the mafia began as a secret organization who was all about overthrowing various foreign conquerors at that time.
Okay.
So they were trying to take over the Saracens, Normans, and Spaniards.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, the members of the families were from small private armies that were hired by landlords to protect their assets from criminals during lawless conditions which prevailed over Sicily throughout many centuries.
I mean, you got to pay your tax to the family.
Right. So, if nobody knows this, Sicily is an island off the boot. It's Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I could eat real pizza and cheese, they made the absolute best pizza. It was the best because we got to stay there for like a week.
Nice.
I want to say we were there for a week. Anyways, I digress per usual.
I mean,
during the 18th and 19th centuries, these mafias grew and grew, and they were so powerful that they could mutiny against the rich landowners and could take over the properties and extort money from the landowners in return for protecting the crops. So they would strong arm them.
Yeah.
Instead of just being hired like, hey man, I'll give you 10 lira.
Right.
To go and protect my land for a day.
Right.
Instead, the mafia came and said,
give us money.
Give me 40 lira or I will destroy everything.
I'll destroy your entire crop.
Yes.
I mean,
exactamundo.
That's what they would do. They would ruin your fucking business.
Correct.
So nothing you could do about it either.
No, because mass amounts of people overturn lots of little, yeah. Anyways, they created their own moral code and their own idea of private justice. And the code was based on obligation to get justice in any way against oneself or others. So they were given a right to avenge wrongs for the victims and their families. the different mafia families had joined together to control most of the economic activities on the island. And in the 1920s, Mussolini came very close to actually completely eliminating the mafia. He was arresting and sentencing suspected mafiosi to long-term jail sentences. But clearly, he was not successful in getting rid of the mafia.
Nope.
Because once they were released from prison, they went right back into reviving the mafia and continued on their criminal behavior.
It's their only way of life. It's all they've ever known. It's just the way it is. Mafia life for me, you know.
Yeah, Heidi's over here strong-arming everybody for their animal.
Give me your wool.
Animal wool.
That'd be
No,
funny.
I would not fight
let it-
Heidi for anything.
No,
She will win.
it'll happen.
It will.
Yeah.
So in Sicily, the mafia families directed their attention to Palermo, because Palermo is now having a booming economic time with industry, business, and construction. They also got back into traditional extortion and smuggling. And during the 70s, the families got heavy into transporting the old heroin
Thanks a
into
lot,
the United
Sicily.
States. They destroyed us. That was, heroin. The beginning of that is the downfall today.
Not great.
It's really bad in Heidi's state. It's really bad in my state.
It's fucking real bad here.
Really bad here too.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mafia.
Thanks, Mafia.
And this, of course, because they were getting into all of those other criminal activities and not just business and industry, they had a lot of problems within the families, which resulted in a lot of murders. They had like a 2-year span of just mafia winding up everywhere.
Yep.
So now, before World War II, several of the mafia groups had immigrated from Sicily and Italy to the United States. And by the 30s, organized Italian criminals in the United States had complete control of various illegal activities, like we mentioned before.
Yeah.
After Prohibition, the mafia no longer needed to have bootlegging operations, so they moved into the gambling, labor, racketeering, loan sharking, narcotics, and prostitution rings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty.
Oh, thanks. I got this yarn a long time ago. And
it looks sparkly. Is it sparkly?
Yeah, it's weird. The color on it is almost, it makes it look iridescent, but it's not.
Oh, it's nice.
It's like a bluish violet, but it's got like this pink, kind of pinkish fuzz on it that really gives it an iridescent look. It's weird.
That's cool. At this time, they grew to be the largest, most powerful of the U.S. syndicated crime organizations and took profit and turned it into legitimate businesses like hotels, restaurants, and entertainment ventures. I.e. Las Vegas.
Do you like that? I.e. laundering.
Well, yeah. That was not a legitimate.
But they made it look legitimate by running it through legit businesses.
Right.
It's just the way it was.
There were 5 families operating in New York City. The main mafia families were Gambino, Genovese, Lucchese, Colombo.
Yep.
Colombo and Bonanno.
Mm-hmm. I always think banana. but it's
Yeah.
Nano.
At the head of each family was a boss or a don.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've heard that term.
Yes.
They also had an underboss who had considerable power and influence.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Don't do it. Don't give in to the cough.
I'm so sorry, guys.
It's okay. Everybody's been sick lately.
Yeah, I was finally doing a lot better.
Yeah. It's just hard when you're talking a lot.
It's like that air cuts
Yep.
in.
It gets your throat all tickly and then
So below the underboss were lieutenants, and they acted as middleman between the peon workers and the don himself. They kept the don or boss from having too much direct association with the family's criminal operations.
mm-hmm.
By the late 1900s, I love how I say that. The late 1900s. I was born in the late 1900s.
In the olden days.
In the olden days.
Fucking TikTokers. God damn it. Sorry. The olden days.
I know. That cracked me up.
Butterfly hair clips. I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, wasn't that just 15 years ago? No, that was
sorry.
25, 30.
Ugh.
Oh boy. Anyways, by the late 1900s, the mafia families kind of dwindled as far as the U.S. organized crime. American society effectively reduced the traditional sense of a mafia. Now, it didn't.
They're not gone.
No, they're not gone.
They will never be gone. Yeah. It's going to be okay. For Kristen.
This is terrible.
Do you have cough drops or anything?
No.
Oh my god.
I think I need my cough medicine.
Gotta have those Ricola. Okay.
Yes, Ricola is very good. So, but in the late 1900s, we're talking 1990.
We're so old. Oh my god.
The gangs, the like Mexican gangs, the
right
Asian, all the other
yes.
Cultures and races created their own organized crime, and so now we've just got organized crime everywhere.
I mean, it's been around
gang
forever. But yeah, the 90s were fucking wild.
Oh yeah.
Gangs.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're still wild.
Yeah.
So that is my history on the mafia.
Word. Very nice.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Well done.
Thank you, Britannica.
I love it.
I would like to point out that him being recruited and hired by the mafia did not make him a killer. We clearly knew he was going to be a killer.
He was already a fucking killer.
He was predisposed.
He was
to be
already really good at it.
Yeah, I mean,
by the time that time rolled around,
we really don't know how many he's already done. We do know about this Charlie guy when he was a teen, but there's really nothing.
But like, consider he started when he was a teen.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
All right.
Crazy.
Woof.
So I just wanted to say the mafia didn't make him a murderer. He was already a murderer. And why not get paid now to murder, right?
Right.
But before that, we're going to take a sidestep because by all accounts, this man apparently was a loving, caring husband and father. It's almost like he had a switch when he went to work, he was the ruthless Iceman.
Yep.
And then when he came home, he was well, I won't say sweet, but he was a doting, protective father and husband. Richard's first marriage was to a woman named Linda, and he had 2 children, 2 boys with her during their marriage. But the old guy, you know, he was working at the trucking company, and there was a secretary, and he cheated on his first wife, divorced her, and married this one, who was named Barbara. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Did she go by Barbie or did she actually go by Barbara?
I don't know. I didn't delve into that.
I'm hearing it with a Jersey accent. Okay, carry on.
Whenever I hear the name Barbara, I think of my favorite movie.
All right. Well,
which is Night of the Living Dead. The 60s version.
Word.
Yes. So, he divorced Linda and married Barbara in 1961. They had 3 children, a daughter named Merrick, which is a very interesting name, but then a daughter, Kristen, and a son, Dwayne.
Merrick is a brand of surfboards. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very...
I'm going to look up where it's from. Carry on.
Okie dokie. His family believed he was an upright citizen and successful businessman. However, he still had violent tendencies and would sometimes be abusive mentally and physically towards his family. Not like the family he grew up in, but he might have given a spanking way too hard.
Great.
To his wife to the face.
Great.
But on all accounts, they believed their father was just a successful businessman. He went to work. He came home. He was protective, loving, supportive. And so overall, they were a well put together family for the situation and time. And I mean, back then, beatings happened more often. So I don't know.
Right.
We've changed a lot for the better. Hopefully.
Yeah, seriously.
The family was actually unaware of all of his crimes. They didn't know until he was arrested for murder how awful he actually was.
Okay. So Merrick means fame, power, rule, fork in the road. It's a gender-neutral name, primarily of Welsh origin, but has variations across English, German, Scottish, and Gaelic. So, interesting. Very interesting name. Kristen's just like dying.
That is very interesting.
Big deal. No big deal. She's coughing to death. Don't do it. Get some lozenges. I'm going to send you some lozenges.
Well, when we get back,
they'll be delivered in 2 weeks.
When we end this episode, which is in 1 second,
right?
We will come back to talk about some of his murders.
Kristen's gonna wreck us.
And we will have part 2.
Part 2. All right. Sorry. Just doing a little ditty over here.
That's what I got.
Yep. All right. Well, till next week for everybody but me. All right. Ta-ta.
It'll still be Christmas.
Yeah. All right. Ta-ta.
For now.
Thanks for listening to Crime, Coffee, and Crafts. If you love our podcast, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. This helps us more than you know. If you really love us and want to support us, go to our website at www.crimecoffeeandcrafts.com. From there, you can join our Patreon, shop our merch, and find us on social media.